In this tutorial, we will have a look how we can create a cool menu. So if I just click on this about button, we can see a about menu. And if I just click on this back button, we can go over to main menu and we can play the game as well. If I just click on this play button, we can play our game as you can see. So I hope you get the idea that how we can do that, and you can make the exit button as well functionable. And before I jump into the coding part or in this tutorial, I want to thank Extreme Anonymous and Laiva Akram for supporting me on Patreon, and as well as you guys can do that, and you guys join as a membership on my YouTube channel as well to unlock lots of benefit, and you can see what you can unlock by joining as a membership on YouTube on my YouTube channel. So without further delay, let's dive into this topic. Before we jump into the part of making UI, make sure you just go to top left file, then click on this build settings in the bottom on the, or you can see the shortcut key which is Control Shift plus B. So just click on that, and then what you have to do, make you probably gonna be in Windows, Mac, Linux, so you have to select this Android, and after selecting Android, click on switch platform in the bottom right you can see. And once you done, you're gonna see a logo after, right after the Android. You're gonna see the Unity logo, means you are in Unity editor. And after doing that, go over to game view. So this will be game view, so just go over to game view. If you can find the game view, just go to window in the top, then scroll down, says general, and you can find the game view which is control plus 2. I guess control plus 2, yes. So just go over to game view and just click in the left side says game, so just click on that and click on some simulator. Just click on that, and you're gonna see that you're right away you're gonna see a pop-up screen of checking in your mobile. So we don't need to plug our mobile to check it to or match up the correct height and menu buttons like that, all kind of things we don't need to do. We can just do it instead inside Unity right away. So you can just select a simulator, and over here you can see the device in which devices you want to do. So I can just choose iPhone 12 Pro Max. I can select as well Apple iPhone 13 Pro Max as well. You can choose any device you like, and you can just rotate that device over here in the game view. You can just rotate like this. So this will be landscape mode, so that's why I'm gonna put it in landscape, and we are ready to create that. So let's go over to hierarchy. I have it over here, so let's go there, and I'm going to change the color of this main camera or this background. To do so, let's go over to inspector and click on this camera component and click on this background and choose a color. So I'm going to choose somewhere around orange, something like that. Basically you need to choose a complementary color to just make your UI a lot more cool, and we are ready to create that. So before we create, we need to create the canvas for to put all of the UI elements like buttons, icons, all of the things we need to place into the canvas. So we need to create the canvas first. So in order to create the canvas, go over to hierarchy, right click or hit this plus icon, then go to UI and select this canvas in the bottom you can see. So just choose that and select that canvas from hierarchy and F to focus on in the scene view. Go over to inspector and then scroll down. You can see a canvas scaler section or component. So you can see a UI scale mode. So just click on that and choose scale with screen size instead of constant pixel size. So this is our landscape mode, so that's why in the X we're gonna put something 1920, and in the Y we will put 1080. But in case if your game in portrait mode, so in the X put 1080 and in the Y just put 1920. And after doing that, we're gonna create a panel before we create the panel, let's create an empty game object first. Let's Because we want to separate all of our logic, we're gonna have about menu, we're gonna have main menu, all of kind of volume menu as well, something like that. So that's why. So just select this canvas, right click on it, then go to UI, and then sorry, not UI, select this empty, create an empty game object, and you can name this game object to something. We will call this one main menu, and make sure you just go over to inspector and then click right over here in rect transform, hold down all and select this bottom right one, bottom right one, select this one, so that the game object, as you can see, get a stretch around our canvas, just fitted up our canvas, and we are ready to create the panel by now. To do so, let's right click on this main menu, go to UI, and then select this panel right over here. And what we want to do, we want to resize this panel. So just choose rect tool right over here and hold down all, so it's gonna resize from center, as you can see. So I'm gonna do it somewhere around this, and after doing it, what we have to do, what we basically do, we're gonna change this panel with something else. So I'm gonna have in the description of this sprite, so I'm gonna go over to project tab, assets, then UI, and select this sprite sheet. I will of course give a link in the description, you can go and check that out. So select that spreadsheet and go over to inspector and choose click on this sprite editor first. As you can see, we have multiple sprites, so that's why we need to choose this sprite mode to multiple, and scroll down, you can see the filter mode to choice, choose point no filter. After doing that, click on this apply button in the bottom. I already have done it. So after doing that, you need to go over to sprite editor. In the top left, you can see slides, so just click on that and leave it to automatic, and then click on this slides, and then click on this apply button right over here in sprite editor. I already have done it, so I'm not gonna do that. So let's select this scene tab right over here, and let's select this panel from here in our main menu, and we're gonna replace this panel. To do so, let's click on this sprite sheet, which just recently split it up individually. So let's click on this arrow, and I'm gonna choose a perfect square one. uh, let's choose that. I have it over here, so let's select that and drag it over to the source image. Make sure you just drag it, firstly image component, then source image, and it seems transparency, so we don't want this panel to be transparent. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go over to image component, and then click on this color field, and in the bottom you can see a channel. So just drag it all the way up, so so the transparency just gonna go out, and we can see it seems pretty cool. And I want to change the color of this main camera, it just a little bit. So I'm gonna select the main camera, let's go over to inspector, then camera, and I'm gonna choose somewhere this color. It's totally up to you which color you want to choose, and this seems pretty great, and I guess, and it's fine by now, and it seems pretty cool. And after doing that, let's create some button. One will be play button, one will be something like about button or volume, and exit button as well. You can create as many button as you want. So make sure you just select the panel, right click on this panel, not this man menu. So let's right click on this panel, and then go over to UI, scroll down, says legacy, and choose this button. And let's call this button, instead of button, let's call it something play button, play button. So this will be our play button. And what we want to do, let's scale this button a little bit up, so we can hold down alt, so it's gonna resize from center, as you can see. And we can go over to inspector, I have a sprite as well over here. Of course, I will give a link in the description of this as well. You can go and check that out. I just have done the same thing as we did for this one, so I'm not gonna explain that. I just split it up. So I'm gonna select a perfect colors. Let's select this play button from hierarchy, and let's choose this one, yellow. Let's select that and drag it over to this source image field in inspector. As you can see, indeed it's get turned, and you can choose any button you like. I can choose this green one if I just want to have it, but I'm gonna choose this instead, and this seems pretty fine. And what we can do, we can resize this button by holding down alt. We can see it's getting resized, and we want to increase the text size or inside of this button. To do so, let's click over here and select the text inside of that button, and I'm just gonna increase that a little bit. So let's scroll down and let's make this font size around 70, and let's call, instead of button, I'm gonna call play. And you can always change the color as well of this text. So I'm gonna go over to this color field, let's click on that, and you can choose a color you like. uh, Something around this color seems pretty great. And font style, I'm gonna choose bold, and I guess it's pretty fine. And you can just increase the text a little bit up. Let's make it around 80, and I'm gonna resize the button. Let's select the button, not the text button, and hold down alt, so it's gonna resize from center, we can see. And what we have to do now, select the button, go over to inspector, and then click over here in rect transform, hold down all, and you can select this top anchor one or bottom anchor one. I'm going to select this top anchor one, and after selecting that, let's select this button and let's drag it a little bit down somewhere around here. And if we try to scale down or up our screen, we can see the button indeed getting resized with the size of our panel of this main menu panel. As you can see, it's getting resized itself according to our main menu panel size. So that is the thing, and it's just staying at that top anchor point all the time. Even we just shrink it down our screen, we can see that. And what we will do now, we're gonna duplicate this button. So I'm gonna move it somewhere around here. Let's duplicate. So Control D to duplicate, and let's move it somewhere over here. I'm gonna do it some in the middle point, and let's call this button to something like about button instead of play button. I'm gonna call this about button, and let's click right over here. Instead of saying play, we're gonna say something like about. So let's replace this text, let's call it about, and let's duplicate this button one more time. So select that button and Control D to duplicate, and let's move it down somewhere around here. So I'm gonna do it in the Y in rect transform, somewhere around -600, and let's call this button to something exit button, we can call, and let's change the text inside of it as well. So let's select the text and let's call it exit. So we have we can see we have exit button. Firstly, we have play button, about button, and the exit button. And what we will do now, and we can collapse it at once by just clicking right over here. And if I just click on this play button right away in the top, and we have to apply whatever changes we made, so just click on that. So it's gonna take a few moments, and once you done, I will give a link in the description of a website how you can just download this button and do this thing. Of course, I will give. And if I just try to click on this about play, this exit button, this button does doing nothing, currently doing nothing. So if we just click on this play about button, we want to go over to about menu, and once we click on this exit button, we want to exit our game, but we're not gonna do that. And once I click this play button, I want to play the game, so I'm gonna get out of play mode. And to do so, we're gonna duplicate this, or just gonna make this main menu prefab. So make sure you just make this one prefab, so if you just lost you can restore it directly. So select the main menu from the hierarchy and drag it over to assets folder in project tab, or just make a prefab folder and drag it right there. So I just drag it right there. As you can see, we have now main menu. And what we can do, we can just select this main menu and control D to duplicate, and just select this main menu and go over to inspector and uncheck, and we can just change some settings, something like this exit button we can say something back, and this will be about menu. So instead of doing that, we're gonna do something else. So let's check this one. So I'm gonna select the duplicate one. Let's select that and delete. Instead of duplicating in the hierarchy, you need to duplicate in prefab mode. Why? Because if you just go select this main menu, go over to inspector, then click on overrides and then apply all the changes you're gonna make, it's also gonna save into the prefab or this duplicate one as well. So that's why we're gonna go over to project tab, then assets and prefab, where basically we drag it. We're gonna select that main menu, and over there we're gonna duplicate. So control D to duplicate, and let's rename this to main menu 1 to something like about menu. So let's right click on it, then rename, and let's call it about menu. And what we want to do, we're going to double click that about menu to open it in prefab mode. We can see, and it's just seems a little bit weird. So if I just double click, so you can just leave that. Actually the aspect ratio or the resolution, it's a little bit different, so that's why. So we're not going to do anything like that. What we want to do, in this about menu, we don't want to have this play button as well as this about button. Instead we're gonna have a back button. So if we just click on that back button, we need to move over to main menu. So that's why we will select this play button. So let's delete that in about menu. Make sure you just doing in about menu, and I'm gonna select this about button as well. So let's delete that as well. And to go back, what you can do in hierarchy, you can see the arrow. So just click over there, you can go back, and you can change it over here as well. So I'm going to select this main menu. Let's go over to inspector, and I'm going to uncheck this to unactive, and let's select this about menu from that prefab folder and drag it over to this canvas. And now we can see in about menu we have the exit button. So instead of exit, we don't want to be a exit button. Instead this gonna be a back button to go back. So what we can do, we can go over to that panel, and let's select this exit button, and let's rename it to something like back button. And instead of saying exit, let's say something like back. So let's click right over here, let's select the text inside of this button, and let's call it uh, back. We can call that back, and make sure you just go over to about menu and then go over to inspector, then overrides, and click on apply all. So the changes gonna be saved right away. And we want a text something over here, something like for this game, you if you want to say anything like that, it's totally up to you what you want to say. I'm gonna give some instruction to do so. Let's select this panel. Make sure to select the panel, not the about menu. Basically this is the size of about menu. Instead we need to get the text inside of this panel, so that's why we're gonna select the panel instead. So let's select this panel, right click on it, then go over to UI and legacy in the bottom and choose this text. And let's scale this text. Select this rect tool right over here, hold down alt, so it's gonna resize from center, and let's move it somewhere around here, and I'm gonna move this up, and let's increase the text inside of it. So I'm gonna make it 100. And what we can do, hi, my sorry, my name is Vairab Roy. You can type whatever you want to say. So I'm gonna go over to font style. I'm gonna leave it to bold, and I'm gonna choose alignment to both of this center. We can see it's totally up to you, and I'm gonna select this left one instead, and I'm gonna decrease the font size, and let's move it in the middle somewhere around here. let's select this center instead, and we can just do this thing, and you can just give instruction to player what player actually need to do in play mode or in the game to just to get victory or to win the level. It's totally up to you. So I'm gonna make the font style to something like 90, and make sure you just go over to about menu, basically the parent game object. Go over to parent, go over to inspector, then overrides, and click on apply all. So the change is gonna be saved right away. And we don't want this about menu to be default one, instead we want this main menu to be default one. So that's why we will select this main menu, go over to inspector, let's uncheck it, basically we're setting that inactive, and let's select this main menu, go over to inspector, and click check this box to make it active, as you can see. And what we want to do, once we click on this about button, we want to just go over to that about menu as you've seen. So that's why we're gonna just right click over click right over here and click on this panel. Let's select this about button. If we select this button, go over to inspector and scroll down in the right, we can see on click. So over here what we can do, we can hit this plus icon and we need to drag the game object, which game object we want to set active. Basically we want to set active. So in our case, once we click on this about button, we want this about menu to be active. So that's why we're going to select that and drag it over right there, and it says no function. So I'm really apologize for that. Just hold on a little bit, just hold on. So about menu, and it says no function, so just click over there and we're gonna go over to game object and select this bottom, which is set active bold. So we want this about menu to be active once we click on this about button. So that's why we're gonna check this box, and after clicking on this about button, we want this main menu to be inactive. So that's why we will click on this plus icon one more time, and now we're gonna select this main menu and drag it right over there, and let's click on this and go over to game object and select this set active, and we're gonna uncheck that. Why? Because we want this main menu to be inactive, or we don't want to be don't want that to be active right now. So we are done. So if we just click on this play button in the top by now and try to click in on this about button, we should able to see that we will just go over to about menu right away. About menu. So if I just click on this about button, as you can see, indeed we are on about menu. But if I just click on this back button, we're not going back to main menu, so we also need to go over to a main menu. To do so, let's get out of play mode. Right now what we're gonna do, we're gonna select this about menu, so select that in hierarchy and click right over here, then go over to panel, then back, choose the back button, go over to inspector, and we're gonna scroll down and we're gonna do the same thing. So let's hit this plus icon and we're gonna select the first about menu itself. We're gonna drag it right over there. It says no function, so just click over there. Let's go to game object, set active. So we want this about menu to be inactive once we click on that back button. So that's why we uncheck that, and let's click on this plus icon one more time, and we want a game this main menu to be active. So that's why we're gonna select this main menu and let's drag it right there, and it says no function, so let's just click right there, game object says active, and we're gonna check this. So once we click on that back button, we just want this you can say main menu to be active and about menu to be inactive, or setting, we just setting active to false. So let's check it. So I'm gonna click on this play button in the top, and make sure you just select both of this game object, go over to inspector, then overrides, and click on apply all. So the changes you made, it's gonna save right away. So just have a look. So if I just click on this about button, as you can see, indeed we're going over to about menu, and once I click on this back button, we're going over to main menu, as you can see. But this exit button and play button does doing nothing at all. So let's hook this button with some certain function. So let's get out of play mode. I already made a script for that, you can just make a script something like scene management or level management, something like that. I already have created, so just go over to project tab, assets, right click on assets, then create C# script and name it to something like scene management level manager. It's totally up to you what you want to name it. So I already have it over here, so I'm gonna go over to hierarchy, and you can attach this script to any game object of your hierarchy. Instead, I'm gonna create another game object. So let's right click and then create an empty game object. Let's call this game object as the name of the script, which is scene management. Let's go to transform, let's reset the transform, and make sure you just select that script and drag it over to add component section and double click that to open it up in Visual Studio. So by default we can see start and update function, we don't need it. Instead we're gonna make two function, for one for our play to play our game, and one for our to exit our game. So, and as well we will remove these two namespaces in the top, we don't need it. Instead we need to include this namespace, it's called using Unity engine dot scene management, and close that up with semicolon. So let's make one for our playing our game and one for our exit. So let's make sure you just making this public so we can call through that button. And for function void, let's call play game and make this first bracket and some curly brackets, and let's copy this function by Control C and let's paste it down by Control V. The Control V, and let's call it this function something exit game. And what we want to do inside this function, if we just move over to, before we do that, in this play game function we're gonna use this scene manager dot load scene function, and this function right over here in brackets, it's gonna take the scene name in quotation or the build index of it. So how you can just check that, you have to go over to Unity. In the top left file you can see, so just go over to top left file and then click on this build setting, and you can see the name scene, which is sample scene, and the build index of it in the right section we can see, which is 0. So we can pass the build index, or in quotation we can just pass right away the name of the scene, which is sample scene. So let's start, and we're gonna go over to script. So in quotation I'm gonna pass the sample scene or the name of the scene, and make sure close that up with semicolon. And this exit button, for now let's check if it's working on working or not. I'm gonna check it, I'm not gonna do anything like that. So that's why I'm gonna print out a message. For printing out, we're gonna type debug.log and make first bracket and quotation. You can type whatever you want to say. So I'm gonna say something like exit, and make sure you just close that up with semicolon. Control S to save your code and go over to Unity. And just wait for to compile, and we need to call those function, or we need to hook those function with some certain button. So for this play button I need to hook our play, you can say play button function, and for this exit button I need to hook exit button function to this exit button right away. So just wait for to compile, and once it's done, just do the thing in order to do. We need to do that, so just wait for to compile, and it's gonna take a few moments. So now if I select this main menu and just click right over here, and then panel, then select this play button, go over to inspector, scroll down and hit this plus icon, and we need to drag the game object in which game object the script is setting on. So in our case this scene management, so let's drag it right there, and it says no function, so just click on that, and let's move over to scene management script or the class we created. So let's go over there, and over there we created this play game function, or this play button function you can say. So let's choose it, let's choose that, and let's choose for this exit. So let's hit this plus icon, let's drag the game object right there, scene management, and then exit button. So for this exit button we have chosen the exit button function. exit game function, and for this play button you can say we have chosen the play button function by now. So make sure you just go to main menu, basically the parent game object, go over to that inspector, then overrides, and click on apply all, so the change is gonna be saved. So we're gonna do the same thing for this about menu. So now if we just click on this play button and try to click on this exit button, we should exit our game. So so we just for now printing out message in the console says exit. So if I select this console in the bottom and try to click on this exit, we can see exit message. Indeed it's getting pop up, but you can do whatever you want to do. You can just type application dot quit, so it's gonna quit, sorry, it's gonna quit your game away right away. And now if we just click on this play button, we should play our game. So if I just click on this play button, um, just wait a little, as you can see indeed we playing our game. So I hope you get the idea. So I'm gonna get out of play mode, and I hope you get the idea that how it's working. And you can just use this exit button to exit your game. You can use the function name application dot quit. So you can just go over to a script, and over here you can just type application dot quit, and make sure you just make this first bracket and close that up with semicolon. Control S to save your code and go over to Unity. So in Unity it's not gonna happen, it's not gonna happen. But once you made the application totally and try to click on this exit button, it's gonna exit your game right away. So if I just click on this play button one more time, and we need to arrange this button in perfect way. I guess the top button or the play button, it's not in a perfect portion, we need to do that. So if I just click on this about, we're going to about. If I just click on this back, we're going over back. If I just click on this exit button, and in the console exit message just getting pop up. So I hope you get the idea. So I'm gonna get out of play mode. I hope you get the idea that how you can make a cool main menu UI or menu for your game. And lastly, I want to thank you all of you guys for watching this tutorial till the end, and I will see you in the next tutorial.